Well, hello everyone. You have right here, I'm talking about right here is for the little ducky right here. Talking about for I can pretty please right here, and you see this right here. I'm talking about for I can right here, and everybody probably thinking two words. Yeah, that you look at that and you're 102 that really that whenever somebody says I can, and do you think that necessarily is this to where are they? Basically, is that to a response to a question that somebody had for them, or if they were trying to show them something? And most of the time, if you're going to hear "I can," somebody say "I can" whenever it comes to something, that do you think that that is another way of stating as to what that they're trying to show you something and or try to show you something, or if they're just trying to ask you a question or something like that. So it sure seems that way that when we do see this right here, talk about for the ducky right here, and everybody might say that if you do talk to whenever you're meeting friends, or maybe if it is working on something for sure, that you're going to show somebody something for sure, and everybody might say that that you go ahead and show somebody something of maybe if it's the ducky or something like that, or maybe draw like a background or something like that. So you go and start out with the sentence stating as to where I can show you that or something like that, and let me explain. So most of the time it's like that if you want to go ahead and start out with like what you call the color green right here, and go ahead and paint right here with the green right here, and everybody might say that you go ahead and color in the details right there of the green right there, and at 102 that you go ahead and color in the green right there, and I'll go in work a little bit with the yellow right here, and you're thinking as toward okay that you work with the green, and then you work right here with the yellow right here, but still it's like you 102 that you go ahead and show somebody something that you're working on, right? And they're thinking as toward okay that can you also do this way, and can you also do this that way, and so really, that if you're going to be telling a story to somebody for sure, that the first thing that you're going to maybe thinking about is that I would like to show them something very impressive right here. I would like to show them something very interesting right here, and so really that so if I were to go ahead and draw the ducky right here, and let's just say if I were to go ahead and paint the outlines right here, and everybody thinking too that you go ahead and paint in the outlines right there, and you would go ahead and start out with like a sentence like such as I can, for I can right here, and so really if that's really a complete sentence, or like everybody might say that sounds a little bit more like a response to where if somebody were to be asking you a question to where that well, can you fly, and maybe if you can go ahead and paint a picture, or if you can march or something like that. If you can run in circles or something like that. And so I have right here this picture of this ducky right here, and I'll go ahead and paint a little bit right here, the details right there big. But so like everybody by thinking too that you go ahead and show somebody something, and the next thing you know, and it's like what's most common is to where that they're going to ask you to go ahead and show me how show me how you do that, and then but still it's like you go ahead and show a picture of this ducky right here, and thinking as to where that you go ahead and show somebody something, and then they're gonna maybe ask you to where that if you can go ahead and show them and explain how you were able to come up with that, and so it sure seems that way that when we do talk about the ducky right here, and you're thinking as toward okay that I can go ahead and talk about that, and I can go ahead and show you what I'm talking about right here. But it sure seems that way that that so it's like whenever you're going to be talking to somebody about something that do you think that if anything, are they going to be asking you the questions first, or is it more common as to where that they're going to ask you to please show me what you're talking about, and more likely, in case of anybody's 102, that yeah, could you go ahead and show me what you're talking about so I can get a better understanding of what you're talking about. And so you got Ducky right here, but it's like, yeah, that each time you do think about that, and you're 102, that you go ahead and start working on something and start showing somebody something, and somebody's going to ask as to where, okay, yeah, can you go ahead and draw Ducky right there in the background right there? Go ahead and draw. It's like if he's going to be walking and maybe marching, and maybe if he's going to be flying or maybe swimming or something like that. And so I have right here for Ducky right here, and you also have right here. You got right here for Ducky right here. You got Ducky right there if he's going to be marching right here, and then you got right here is like yeah, but with the look right here, I'm like yeah, with the Ducky look right here, like the marching Ducky right here. So really, that if you're going to be working on something in particular, 102, that yeah, you go ahead and include right here is a sentence or two. A paragraph sentence right here of like, okay, what exactly is Ducky doing right here? You go ahead and paint right here. You paint Ducky right here, and you got right here with Ducky right here. You got the Ducky is like yeah, that like yeah. Let me explain right here. So anybody who's going to be 102, the yeah, I can, and pretty please right here. So it's like anybody, any kids are going to maybe be 102 that you want to go ahead and show them something for sure, and for sure that how often are they going to be saying is this to where it goes by the question first, and then it goes by showing them something, and it's like yeah, well let me explain right here. So each time you do think about that, you're 102 that hey that I like I say that you to where that they're able to see what you're doing, but really that if you were to explain what you were doing, they're working with what you were doing, and it's like, well, let me explain right here that what I was doing right here is I was actually working right here. If you will let me explain right here that this is what I was doing right here. And so you have right here, I can go ahead and if I can go, I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and select this right here, and then I go into right here that let me explain right here that I was working with a brush. Yeah, I was working with the brush right here. So really, that in case of anybody's 102, that does that really explain a whole lot? In case of anybody's 102, that if you were to explain anything like that to anybody at 102, that okay, yeah, you were working with a brush. Well, what does that really mean? Does that really explain to anybody about what you were doing? Okay, yeah, you were working with a brush right there, and I'm like, really? That if you were to explain to anybody about what you were doing, for sure, that yeah, you go ahead and paint this picture right here, but still, at the same time, is anybody really going to know what is it that you were doing? Okay, yeah, I was working with the brush right here, but still. Do you think that anybody would maybe 102 to, okay, yeah, I would like for you to go ahead and show me what you're doing rather than talking about it? But still, at the same time, it's like, yeah, if you would be talking to somebody about something that, for what they can do and, the things that they're able to do and all that, and a lot of times it sure seems that way that, yeah, that they're going to ask you to, please show me what you're talking about so I can get a better understanding. But still, it's like 102 that, yeah, do you think anybody is going to ask you to go ahead and show them what you're talking about, for sure. And I'm like, well, really, that for the most part, that you're able to see what that person is doing, right? I'm like, yeah, you're able to show somebody what you're doing, but at the same time, yeah. right here, I'll go ahead and use right here. You got right here with the yellow right here. But still, it's like yeah, I can. I can go ahead and add something. I can go ahead and show you this, and I can go ahead and show you that. But still, that you're always want to know too that you go ahead and start showing somebody a picture of something, and what's most likely that somebody's going to be asking the questions, and like while you're going to be working on something and painting something, that somebody's going to be asking you to where that yeah, can you go ahead and paint this, or can you go ahead and paint this in? Can you go ahead and paint that in? Show me something impressive right here. So really, if you're while you're going to be working on something for sure, that somebody's going to be looking at what you're doing, right? And more likely that they're going to be asking you to please show me what you're talking about. Can you please show me? Can you pretty please show me, what you were working on? And the chances are that somebody's going to say that, let me explain on how I was able to work on that. And so really, so while you're working on something for sure, that do you think that maybe it's most common to where that everybody is going to be asking you to show me, or like everybody might say, is to where instead of talking about that you could you please show me, and like yeah, I can, and so to me though, it's like yeah that so when we do think about that, is to where talk about for I can right here, and everybody might say is to where yeah, show me what you're talking about. So if we're going to be talking about the little chickie story or something like that, and like everybody might say, to talk about the ducky story, or the duckling story, and you'll want to know too that why do you think it's most common that everybody's going to ask you to show them first before we go ahead and talk about this, and please show me, and then let me ask the questions, or can I ask you to show me, or can you do this, and can you do that, and so whenever you're going to be working with any tools or anything that that you're going to be working on for sure, that why do you think that it's most common to where that while you're going to be working on something that somebody's going to ask you to please show me what you're doing right here, because I've been watching what you're doing, but I just trying to get an understanding of how you did that. So can you please show me what you're doing? So this right here is going to be the most common question that I'm going to see right here. And like everybody might say that, whenever you're going to be working on something for sure, that, what you're working on right here is that for what you think that looks good for the ducky right here, right? You got right here, you can draw this right here, is the picture of the ducky, but what you were trying to do is you were trying to put together a story talking about what that ducky is doing, but now everybody is going to be asking you to where to please working with the paintbrush. Okay, go ahead and work with the paintbrush, and to continue working with the paintbrush and show me how you did that. So why do you think that that's going to be the most common request that you think that you would get then compared to reading a story all the time? Okay, yeah, let me explain. I was working with the brush. And so in case if anybody's want to know too, if is that right there supposed to be a complete sentence, or if that right there is supposed to be an adjective or anything like that. But on the other hand too, that in case if anybody were to ask, is that I was working with a brush. Okay, I don't know what that means by that, but still. So I know that everybody might even say too that if you're going to be working with something or talking to somebody about something, that more likely that they're going to ask you to please show me, than rather than for them to be yeah, okay, yeah, instead of talking about it all the time, they're going to say, is this to where can you do this, and yeah, can you do this, and can you do that, and so it sure seems that way, that yeah, so why do you think that's going to be the most common request that you're going to hear most of the time, then compared to what you call it, you go ahead and start working with the brush right here, working on this character right here, and that somebody's going to maybe be saying is to where that, hey, that, yeah, I would like to see you, watch you, I want to see how you do that right there, working with the brush and all that. Then compared to working with the writing and all that, and like everybody might say that, do you think that that's most common that everybody's going to be asking you to do that, then compared to, talking about something? Let me explain. Improved. Yeah, I improved this right here. So it seems like yeah, it starts out with the picture, anything that you want to draw, right? In case if anybody want to know too, that why do you think, in case if anybody's want to know too, that why do you think it starts out with maybe a blank page before it becomes something very colorful and maybe something a little bit more understanding for somebody to be able to understand, right? And that's why it seems like that is to where, yeah, you go ahead and change up the color just a little bit more, and you go ahead and tell everybody that, yeah, that you go ahead and start a conversation for sure, and somebody's going to say that, pretty please, can you show me what you're talking about? And you go ahead and like, yeah, you go and show somebody what you're talking about, but for at the most part, that somebody's going to maybe say that, yeah, you go ahead and include a sticker with a ducky right there on the front part of the painting right there. They can go and look at the ducky right there until that they're able to get a little bit more understanding about what the work's all about and all that. So a lot of times it's like yeah, you go and start a conversation with somebody for sure, and you start talking about the things that you're good at, right? But still, at the same time, those things that you're going to be good at for sure, that somebody's going to want to see what you're talking about besides looking at this story about, okay, yeah, that let me explain. This right here, yeah, you go and start writing in stories right here on the side. But in case if anybody want to know too, that yeah, I want to see the main objective right here. I want to see a picture of the ducky right here. I don't want to read all this right here. So why do you think that that's most common that everybody else would say? If you're going to be learning something new for sure, you don't want to hear all the talking. You actually want to see the work. You want to see somebody paint. You want to see them actually put something together, And in case if anybody's heard this before, is to where yeah, I want to get my hands dirty. Yeah, let's have some fun, and that's usually what you hear too. Let's have some fun. Get. I want to get my yeah. Let's get our hands dirty right here. So yeah, that's usually what you do. Like everybody might even say too that if you're going to be working on something for sure, doing these sorts of fun activity, that people might say that if you're going to be taking any class or doing any sorts of activities for sure, that that's going to be the most common thing, most common adjective that you're going to hear most of the time. Let's have some fun. I want to get my hands dirty. And so whenever you do think about that, and you're one to know too that yeah, that if that's really a requirement or a request, but in case of anybody want to know too, that why do you think that you would why do you want to learn at the same time by getting your hands dirty? And like a lot of kids might even say too that why do you think that you would prefer that? Why do you think that you would prefer to get your hands dirty whenever it comes to learning something, and whenever it comes to doing something, and everybody might say that, well, really, that whenever you yeah, whenever you having fun with something and getting your hands dirty for sure, that everybody is able to see you see a lot of them, like yeah, they're able to see what you're doing, and they're able to see and realize a lot of it, like yeah, big stuff, right? But still, so if you're going to be talking about a lot of times, and maybe not everybody's really going to know what you're talking about, but still, do they prefer to, yeah, I would like to get my hands dirty. And so that's going to be what's called one of the first requests that you're going to hear from somebody is if you're going to be working with something for sure, that, yeah, I would like to get my hands dirty. I don't want to read all this right here. I'm like, yeah, it's boring. That right there, yeah, that's boring right there. This is boring. It's boring. And I know, I think a lot of people would maybe even say too that if you're going to be reading something all the time, that's not really the same thing as learning. So I guess like everybody might say that, the only time that you would really want to read something for sure about something, mainly because, maybe after, like everybody might say that, you know, uh, anything new that you're going to be learning about, anything new that you're going to be learning about for sure, that, you probably want to know too, that why do you think that it's more boring to read about it than compared to actually doing that? And, but I just really think in a lot of ways that, what the person is actually is trying to tell you, I would like to watch you do what you're doing. Yeah, can I watch you? I would like to watch you work. And usually that's usually the case, right? In case of anybody's 102, that yeah, I would like to see you. I want to watch you work. I would like to watch you do what you do. So that way I can get a better understanding of what you were doing and what you were working with. And yeah, I want to get my hands dirty. So that way, I don't want to read about it all the time or whichever. But still. So I have this right here, and if we could all see this right here, talking about, the ducky right here. And in case if anybody's 102, whenever it comes to understanding about that, somebody's working on something, and yeah, is it really the same thing as what you learned on TV? And in case if anybody's 102, that for what I'm talking about, that whenever you were to be watching somebody work, especially the same stuff that you see on TV, right? And you're 102, that it's not really the same thing as what you learned on TV, by the way, but still, if you were to actually were to be learning something new, by the way, that you would probably think too that if somebody were to actually watch you paint and actually watch you put something together, what exactly is it that's really teaching them, by the way? Really, that, especially if you're going to be starting from scratch, that, somebody's going to be asking you to please, instead of talking about it all the time, could you please show us the brush? Work with the brush. You got the brush right here. And can you please show us a little bit of that stuff that you're working on? And so, why do you think anybody would much rather prefer to watch you work than compared to reading about it? And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact about that. Yeah, that they actually what they really are doing is that they can actually see the results. They can actually see. The main portion of it to where why are you doing that, and then why is it that this is important? Why is it that that's the important part of the process right there? So whenever you do paint something, whenever you're going to be working on something and painting something, what do you think that you're actually telling your audience right here? Whenever you do paint, whenever you're working with paint, whenever you're painting a character like this right here, that is that really supposed to show your audience that if you're trying to give the character a new look, or is it maybe the fact about that this is your ability for what you can do with this paint tool right here? And everybody might say that that's exactly right. You're showing your audience the ability. You're showing them the ability for what you're doing, this skill and ability, for what you're doing to this painting right here. Yeah, this is the ability. What you're doing to this character right here. You're giving him color. You're giving him this effect right here. And did you have this ability, just by talking about it all the time? And I think everybody else would say that no. Everybody cannot see what you're doing for sure. So everybody might say the same thing that you've learned, just by watching those TV programs and all that, and everybody might say that, yeah, well, I consider that to be boring. I don't want to read about it. I actually want to watch the person work right here. So that's why it seems like that whenever you do show a character right here, and everybody would say that, I actually would like to see you paint something. I want to watch you work. And one of those reasons is because, yeah, I want to see you do what you do. And why do you think that anybody would want to watch you do what you do, even though that you're not really looking at the instructions on what's what source of special touch or anything like that that's required? And so that's why it seems like that, to where that, yeah, working with the the paint strokes and everything, they can actually see those colors right there. But still, that what exactly is it that you're showing your audience whenever you do that? And they'll probably say is to where that, yeah, well, if that's interesting or not. And but still, whenever they watch you work, that I guess they're waiting for that moment is to where that, yeah. They're waiting for it to be interesting, yeah. So in case if anybody's want to know too, that, if you do come up to anything real interesting, interesting, more interesting to be able to learn about. So really, every time you do think about that, then you always want to know too that, you got the audiences that are watching you work, right? And you might even want to know too that instead of talking about it, that they're going to ask you to please show me what you're talking about, so that way if it's interesting to you or if it's not interesting to you, and so really that yeah, so so if anybody that's going to be watching you work for sure, that you might even tell them that hey, that I was working on this, but at the beginning that I didn't think that it was going to be very interesting until I start working on it more. And so that's why it seemed like, yeah, it's all about the fact about, if the people that, I'm like, yeah, your audience, you're trying to get them to like your work, but why do you think that your audience would? Why do you think that they would much rather you watch you work with the paint tools and everything rather than to be talking about something all the time? This is what I was working with right here. So that's why it seems like that, your audience, by the way, would much rather watch you paint, rather than for you to be talking all the time about, something that you were working with. And in case of anybody want to know too, that yeah, well, for sure, that I think your audience would like to go to the fun stuff rather than just be watching you talk all the time or whichever. But still, I mean, I'm sure we all have our explanations to where the why we would much rather see that the painting, we would like to watch you paint rather than talk all the time about something. And I am sure that everybody say that, yeah, I have my reasons to why that I request for you to show me something rather than be talking about it all the time. But still, that I think a lot of people would say is to where that, yeah, you could explain later after we get done with the painting, or yeah, you can explain what you put together. That's what I would like for you to do. Go ahead and explain to me after you put this together. Don't explain before. And I think a lot of it has to do with, yeah, before and after. So everybody might say that, yeah, it's all about the before and after, right? Yeah, please, please watch, but you can explain, yeah, explain to me after you worked on it. And I think a lot of everybody else might say that's usually what you hear most of the time. You can talk about it after we get done working on it. But before, no, they don't want to read all that. They want to actually work on it. That they want to actually see you work on it before you get into the details about what you did. And so I think a lot of times, in a lot of ways, do you kind of call that professional trainers, or do you kind of call that more professional whenever, somebody wants to see you actually do something rather than to be talking about it? And they say you can talk about it after you do it. And so I think in a lot of ways, yeah, if it becomes interesting to your clients, but in a lot of ways, everybody might say that, I would like for you to show me what you're talking about. Yeah, please show me. Show me what you're talking about. You'll please watch it. And so, yeah, you go and show somebody the tools that you're working on, tools and commands. But, why do you think that everybody would much rather you to show them something rather than to be talking about what you were working with? And I think everybody might say that, yeah, well, for sure, that if you got a lot of people or anybody watching your work, by the way, that they might tell you that it's more interesting whenever you can show them what you're working on rather than to be talking about it, mainly because of the fact that it becomes to be a distraction. And I think a lot of people would say that that's really what it is. It becomes to be a distraction. It's a distraction. If you talk about something, explain something in writing before you actually do it, then that becomes a distraction. And I guess everybody might say that that that's usually what it is. I guess that explains everything. It becomes a distraction, from what you really are trying to do, then compared to what's optional and maybe anything else that you want to add or something like that. But first, when we talk about the Ducky story right here, you'll want to know too that yeah, somebody's going to ask you to please, can you show me what you're talking about? And I'll go ahead and add right here is a little bit of detail right here for the feet and all that right here. But yeah, it's like somebody asks you to please show me some of the tools and commands that you're working with. And then you can go ahead and explain to me about what you were doing. And so yeah, so it's like, so each time you do think about that, then you'll want to know too that, if you can let me explain what I was working with, and then maybe you would be able to understand what I was doing. And that's why it seems like that everybody might think that, that sounds more professional. Is it more professional to show somebody your work before you actually talk about it? Do you think that it's more professional to do that than compared to just talking about it and do it? And I think everybody might say that it's more professional to actually do it than to talk about it. And I think a lot of people would maybe agree if it becomes interesting to somebody. I think everybody would say that, why do you think that we spend so much time on the television set so much time? You watch people work, don't you? Well, why can't you watch somebody work and then go ahead and get to the details about talking about what you were doing? And everybody might say that, well, it's not really my job really to read the details, for sure. You go ahead and work with something, but still, at the same time, like everybody might say that it becomes to be a distraction. And I think a lot of professionals would even say and agree that that's why that it needs to be done on a separate document. It needs to be explained on a separate document, by the way, that if you're going to be working with something, photographs or any paintings or something like that, that I think they would probably say too that if you were to explain, if you were to explain first what you were working with, for sure, that that becomes to be a distraction. And I think a lot of professionals might even say too that yeah, if you're gonna have people watching you work, watching you actually do something for sure, that they're gonna tell you that they would much rather you watch you work. They want to see you actually do something, and then you can go and talk about it and explain what you were doing. And because that yeah, if you don't get to the work first of all, then for sure that becomes to be a distraction. And so I think in a lot of ways too that a lot of parents would probably prefer it that way. By the way, and I really don't know why. They'll probably tell you too that that's whenever a lot of incidents happen to where if you're not very careful with what you were working on, but still. A lot of trainers would even say too that that if you're trying to show somebody something for sure, that that if you were to actually talk about something before doing it, then that becomes to be a distraction, and so you're want to know too that why does it seem to be a distraction to anybody? If you're trying to solve a math problem or two or something like that. Why do you think that talking about it all the time is going to be a distraction compared to actually doing the work? And so yeah, so let's have some fun right here. So yeah, that's usually what you do here most of the time. But everybody else might say that I think a lot of younger kids might even say too that. They don't want to read about it. They want to actually do it. They want to actually do this activity right here. They don't want to read the details. Yeah, the instructions, even though if the instructions are right there on the side or so, that a lot of kids would much rather, they would much rather, learn while doing, or like everybody say that let's have some fun. Let's get our hands dirty. And, so yeah, so it's like professional coaches would even say too that do you think that it's best and advised to where that that if you can go ahead and do that to where that if you were to be explain to somebody about something that you were working on for sure, that go ahead and explain what you were doing, but then place that on a different document instead of putting it on the picture right there. Yeah, go ahead and explain what you were working on, but please go ahead and, one page that shows the picture, but then one document that explains what you were doing. And so yeah, so it's like so any painting that you're going to be putting together, right? And you want to know too that a lot of your audience, by the way, would probably much rather. They would much rather you show me what you're working on and show me how you did that before we start talking about all these details right here. So I'm sure everybody would say that that's usually how everybody else how they learn, right? That's usually how they learn is whenever they're able to watch you do what you do, and so that's why it seems like that if you're going to be talking about something all the time. Then what are the chances that somebody's going to maybe say that boring? Let's get to the fun stuff. And but I just really think in a lot of ways that yeah. So if you just start working on something for sure, that you don't really know what your audience is really thinking about for sure. That they might even say too that if it's going to be just a black and white sketch right here with no color at all, then the chances are, in case if anybody's want to know too, that whenever you first start working on this, by the way, this is exactly what it looked like right here. There was no color in that picture right there until you start adding in more color to it right there. This is exactly what it looked like before you start working on it. And everybody might say that, does that really appeal to everybody that you're able to see the original, and maybe that if you're able to see what it looked like whenever it was black and white, just like that right there. You were able to look at it from a glance in black and white, and then you were able to see that right there. Okay, yeah, that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like before, but go ahead and add some color in right there. And so a lot of artists might even say too that maybe black and white is a standard is a standard canvas that they usually use, by the way, just to be able to do a lot of their professional paintings, just because that white usually represents as to where okay, yeah, go ahead and try this new technique and see what happens. Go ahead and add a little bit of color right here and see what happens. And usually those areas are left white, and they'll tell you that yeah, you leave it white for a reason, right? So that way you can show everybody that's the part where you usually add color in right there. And so if I were to add, go ahead and add some color right here, but like everybody might say that, that's usually how you do a lot of your colorings, by the way, that areas that were left white, that's whenever, you go ahead and is that really considered what you call it, like, let's have some fun, with it? And, but still, it's like, so each time you do think about that, then you'll want to know too that if you want to learn something new about professional paintings, by the way, that everybody would say that could you please show me what you're talking about? And so that's why that everybody might say, if you're going to be showing somebody something such as a painting, then go ahead and leave areas that are painted white. Yeah, go ahead and show them the areas that are whited in, just like that right there. And they'll tell you that, if it's white, then that's usually the areas where you usually see where go ahead and put whatever color that you want right there, or go ahead and finish color in that certain area of the painting right there. So in case if anybody's want to know too, that, so while you're working on something for sure, right, that, you go ahead and leave certain areas white, and that just usually means that to go ahead and color in the rest of the image right there. And so you're going to be working on something, and for sure that not everybody is really going to know, what this is and what that is until you explain. But I guess everybody might say that, that becomes a distraction, I guess, whenever they see all this writing right here. So that's another reason why that everybody would say is to where that please, watch and show me. And that's another reason why that you're probably thinking too that, if you have anybody looking at your professional paintings, by the way, that they're going to maybe tell you that, you can explain what you were doing after we get done, working on that. And I know a lot of teachers and coaches might even say too that I don't know, I don't think your students are going to want to read the directions first until they actually try working on it. I'm like, read the instructions first before you start putting this puzzle together. But still, so you see this right here in the professional painting right here. But it's like almost every time you think about that, and you always want to know too that if you want to include a story along with this picture or something like that, but not very many people are going to read it in its entirety. I'm like, you always want to know too that why is it that a lot of your audiences, anybody who's going to be looking at your work, they would much rather prefer for you to go ahead and show them what you're working on instead of talking about it all the time. And they'll probably tell you that one of those reasons is because that they believe that the work is going to get done faster, if you do that. And how many of us would maybe even say that, that the work can be done a lot faster if you would just show them what you're talking about. And I know a lot of professionals would say too that there's a lot that you can do. There's a lot that you can get done, by the way. There's a lot that you can get done, by the way, is if you work, instead of talking about all the time that, you work. And Yeah, even if that work, is not really in the instructions, and in case if anybody's want to know too, that how are you really supposed to coach anybody? If you're working on something, if you're working on something, and let's just say if you didn't do it right, you always want to know too that how are you supposed to coach somebody on something, knowing that you're working on something, but let's just say if you didn't do it right, you go ahead and explain what you were working with right here, and that's why it seems like that. Each time you do think about that, and you're wanting to know too that does that really become a distraction or anything? But anyway, watch me. Please watch me, and watch and show me, and I can, and so each time you do think about a painting, by the way, that the first thing that comes to your mind for sure is that if you have an idea for what you want to draw, you go ahead and draw the details right there of the ducky right there with the face and the feathers and all that. And you were just thinking too that you were trying to put it all together to make it more interesting to your audience, right? But there at the same time, it's like you were trying to talk to everybody about what you were working with. But it seems like that they'll tell you that hey, that could you please just get to the work, and then you can go and talk about it after you get done with the work. And I think a lot of professionals might even say that a lot of clients, by the way, would prefer it that way. That please get to the work first, and then go ahead and talk about it. And I think a lot of times, from based on my experience though, that you watch somebody working a lot of times, especially if they're learning something new, right? Especially if you're learning something new, they don't really want to read all the details about it. Let me explain. I was working with a brush. They don't explain everything. And like everybody might say that I think they would much rather, they want to actually learn while they're doing or something like that. But still, really, what is so interesting about it? And I think a lot of everybody else would maybe even agree that they don't really know how interesting it is just because of the fact that they would actually watch you work. Please show us your work instead of talking about it. And so I think a lot of everybody else might even say too that if they can actually watch you work, then they believe that maybe that there's more that you can get done if you do watch somebody work, than compared to reading about something and talking about something. And so even though if you may not know what you're doing or if you're even doing it right, but like everybody might say that the first impression that you might get is toward it, hey, I honestly don't think that I'm even doing this right. But still, that whenever you do think about that, by the way, that you're thinking is that even though if you think that you're not doing it right, that what you're doing is that you're just you're getting some practice with it and all that. But really, if there's really a right or wrong way of how to do it, but like everybody might say that you have somebody that's going to be watching you work on something, and if they can actually see you do something, what is that really telling them? Is that kind of are they actually brainstorming ideas? And I think a lot of professionals might even say too that that's usually how a lot of clients approach the idea. They can actually see what you're doing, and then they can get some ideas of what they want to use. And I know a lot of professionals might say that that's usually how their students and how their clients prefer it that way. If they can actually see what you're doing, then that will give them an idea of what they want to use. That will give them an idea of how they want to learn something and what they want to work with. And so I just really think that that's pretty much the best understanding about that is that if they can actually watch somebody work, that would it brainstorm. Yeah, you're brainstorming ideas, right? Yeah, work and you're brainstorming ideas and work, brainstorming ideas and Yeah, you're working and brainstorming ideas, but still, whenever you do that, by the way, that everybody might say that whenever you do that, by the way, that it seems like that are you really following the instructions, following the directions whenever you do that? And they'll probably tell you that well, yes and no, but on the other hand, that whenever you do brainstorm ideas, by the way, that you're thinking about, you're getting opinions, you're getting feedback from from your class, right? You're getting feedback from your clients. You're getting feedback. You're getting ideas of anything that they suggest and what looks good for that work and all that. So that is why that a lot of other clients and viewers might even say that hey, that if they can actually watch you work, and then maybe they can provide some feedback about what they think about something. And so that's another reason why that maybe everybody else might say that if you're going to go ahead and paint a picture or something, if you're going to be working on something for sure, that somebody would much rather watch you work and then go ahead and talk about it. And then of course, that anything else that like that you had a question about and all that, but still, that do we think that in a lot of ways that that becomes a distraction whenever you talk about it more than compared to doing. And so they're like, yeah, well, I think in a lot of ways, if you actually do the work, and maybe if you actually have somebody watch you work, then that's another way of how that they actually think that the job is getting done whenever you have somebody watch you work and you have somebody doing the work. And so yeah, I guess I say that's a type of way of what you call that, right? But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. And I talk about here for the Ducky story right here, and talk about let's have some fun, let's get our hands dirty. But still, for letting me explain right here, I improved. I was working with the brush right here, and watch and show me, and I can pretty please. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.